This year marks our 5th year of living in our tiny house on wheels during the winter season. And we have learned some very valuable lessons over the past several winters. And I feel like this winter we actually finally get it. One of the biggest lessons that we've learned is the value of insulation. Because all of our walls are external walls, insulation is very important. The other important lesson we learned is the value of heat tape. If you want to have running water, you have to have good heat tape. And I recommend having a backup heat tape just in case yours stops working, because not having running water is really difficult. One day we will share the story with you of our second winter in the tiny house when it seemed like everything broke and we didn't have running water and our systems were just not handling the intense cold. So we learned many valuable lessons that winter, and we are much better at living in the tiny house because of that. The good news is that even though we're getting a lot more snow this winter, we have our wood stove in, and that has made all the difference in keeping the inside of our house warm, keeping our humidity down, and giving us a really fun way to cook some new foods. Since this is our first winter using the wood stove to heat the house, it's been a bit of a learning experience of how to store the wood and how much wood to process at a time, but we can keep a little over 2 weeks worth of wood in that back bin, and we use the stove pretty much every night for about 5 or 6 hours. Once I had the wood stove going and the house was starting to heat up, I turned my attention to some of the other projects that I was using to keep myself busy during the snowstorm. The reality is that even though the snow looks beautiful, it is harder spending the winter in the tiny house, at least for me. During the summer, we spend every bit of time possible outside enjoying the weather. In the winter, we already spend more time indoors, and then when you add the pandemic on that, we've been spending a lot more time in the tiny house. So it's an adjustment. And one of the things that I've been focusing on is just trying to bring back old hobbies. One of them for me is working on my houseplants. All right, so now I have 2 plants instead of 1, and I think this one is going to go to work with me and sit on my windowsill and make me happy while I'm at work, and this one is going to stay here. This particular version of philodendron is one of my favorites because it looks like somebody took a paintbrush and just made a stripe down the center of the leaf. It's called the philodendron Brazil because it looks like the Brazilian flag, and it's just so pretty because each leaf comes out with its own unique pattern. So it's almost like a little piece of art that grows. I think that's why they make me so happy. Okay, let's decorate this because the tin can and the recycled candle holder don't look the greatest just by themselves. So I'll show you how I fix them up. I am a big believer in something called nature therapy. It's basically the idea that people need a connection to nature, whether that's spending time outside or getting some sunshine or having a houseplant so that you get some greenery inside your house or maybe on your desk at work. These are all things that can bring little bits of happiness into our day. One of the things that I recommend to my patients, and one of the things that I practice myself like this, is trying to keep up hobbies. When things are challenging or things are stressful, making time to create something with your hands, creating something that is nice to look at, creating something that you can enjoy, can be a huge coping skill to help you to get through challenging times like these. Okay, they are all done. And now I'm not sure which one I want to take to work. They both came out pretty cute, but not bad for pretty much recycled materials there. A little bit of ribbon that I saved from the new blanket we got for the couch, and then the string is I don't know, something we had left over from some other project that I was doing. So, pretty happy with that. In my little arrangement, and I'm going to show you how I actually make these little hanging things. Super simple. I was kind of messing around with some fancy patterns, but I actually just like the plain. Apparently during the pandemic, I'm not the only one who has started getting back into houseplants. But if houseplants are not your thing, think anything that you can do with your hands. Woodworking, working on cars, cooking, all of those things are activities that really leave you with a sense of accomplishment at the end. And this whole idea of the activities that we do during the day leaving us feeling better sense of well-being is really the foundation idea behind my profession as an occupational therapist. The things we do during the day contribute to our well-being. So now I've done all of my knots, and it's created this little basket type shape on one end. There's my tassel that's going to be hanging at the bottom. So I'm going to flip it over, and I figured out how much length I want depending on how low I want the plant to hang, which is right about here. So now what I'm going to do is hold it taut, tie a knot to hold all these strings together, and then I'm going to tie a loop. And that's the loop that will actually go through my hook that's coming out of the ceiling. Whether you live in a tiny house or any other structure, when we're spending more time indoors, any little project to spruce up your space can really help you to feel better throughout the day. After enjoying some time watching the snowfall, I turned my attention to my other favorite activity when it's snowing, and that's baking. But here we're using healthier ingredients. Very ripe bananas, cocoa powder, maple syrup, and almond flour. You're going to add them all together. I actually put in a little bit of monk fruit sweetener to increase the sweetness without adding too many calories. You mix that together to a fudgy consistency and then put it in a pan. So here's the finished vegan brownie mix. I put walnuts on my side because I like walnuts and Patrick doesn't. So I'm going to put this in for probably about 15 minutes. It doesn't take very long at all. They're very fudgy brownies. They're not cakey at all because there's really nothing in there to make them cakey. But put a little peanut butter on top of them and they're really good. Definitely satisfies your sweet tooth without like going off the deep end. Thanks for watching this video about our experiences spending winter in the tiny house. I hope that you are taking good care of yourself and the people around you. And we look forward to sharing our spring trips with you soon.
injustice, the next president to be. The news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there. So don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air. And 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again. And though time flies, we'll have enough to realize this bigger than the both of us.